This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Tonight, New York City FC heads west to look for yet another win against Minnesota United. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
It's true. It's true. We are here. I'm Glenn Crooks. That is Matty Lawrence. And this is New York City FC Pregame Live from Allianz Field. The music, the festivities here in St. Paul, Minnesota, not to be confused with Minneapolis, Minnesota. They get very edgy about that. Touchy, yeah. You know, it is St. Paul, Minnesota. A beautiful stadium. And let's go. Let me just show you real quick where we are, because I've got this. I've got. Whoop, that's not what we want. Let's bring him back in. Let's lose him. Let's lose him, and let's go here. Aha! There it is. So this is the ability to see what we're seeing, and this is Allianz Field, and yeah, I'm actually panning the field, but I'm actually not getting a good pan on this. So there you go. Best laid plans, but there it is. That's what we're looking at here from our vantage point at Allianz Field, and hopefully I can get this back functioning. We can see the Wonder Wall. So that's what I wanted to show you, the Wonder Wall. It's to our right here where the supporters stand, and it's great stuff. So we've got New York City on this extended unbeaten streak, 7 games, 10 games overall, all competitions. But we've got Sean Johnson in goal, who's got 7 shutouts to lead MLS. But the last time he was here, he was involved in one of those Minnesota goals in a 3-3 draw. That was 3 years ago. We're going to just review that and then talk about Sean Johnson, who's going to the U.S. men's for the June window now. But first, Matty Lawrence, anyone who follows us or follows Matty understands that he's a Liverpool supporter. So it was kind of a tough moment for Matty today. But, it was the Champions League final, and Real Madrid scored on the hour mark and won the match 1-0. And you all right?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with losing to a team that were $1 billion in debt or €1 billion in debt, being propped up by the Spanish government and the Spanish people, and then still have to sit behind the ball and defend on the counter-attack. So, yeah, why not?
I didn't expect anything cynical from you.
When Tottenham play like that, they castigate, but when Real Madrid do it, it's wonderful. But yes, full plaudits to Real Madrid for sitting behind the ball and defending, even though you've got $1 billion worth of talent out there. It's wonderful. Wonderful to see.
All right. Well, that's so Matty giving his analysis. You'll hear similar commentary on the New York City FC Minnesota United broadcast. Now, let's put a smile on Matty's face now, because this was pretty cool this week.
Yeah.
And here it is. So the Millwall poll came in, and congrats to Matty Lawrence for winning Millwall's best post-millennial right back, beating Kevin Muscat by just 1%. Now, that's countering this. That photo there is Matty Lawrence right at the conclusion of the match today with Liverpool losing 1-0. But we're going to put a smile on his face and talk about this a little bit. Now, I've got a bio here for Matty, and I want to read it. Oh, let's get
rid of that one. Thanks for rubbing it in.
All right. So Matty, 9 years, over a 20-year playing career, was in the English Football League. And then he played at Harvard College. He's part of the Hall of Fame there. And he moved on to eventually these stints with Fulham, Crystal Palace, and Millwall. Millwall, legendary figure there. What they call you, Shaggy?
Shaggy, yeah.
Shaggy. He used to have the
I had
hair.
Longer hair then.
And if everybody remembers, what's the cartoon?
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, yeah. And Shaggy. So
that was before I had to get thigh hair and butt hair transplanted onto my head. It was natural back then.
You and Conti, huh? You and Conti.
Exactly.
All right. So in 2004, Matty captained Millwall to its first FA Cup final against Manchester United. He was marking the likes of Ruud van Nistelrooy. I watched that recently, and it was is interesting. The number of the skulls is on the field. Keane, Giggsy, Rooney, Ronaldo. What
a surprise we lost.
That had to be a thrill, though, right?
It was, yeah.
It was
a thrill to watch the ball being played around us, yeah. I touched the ball, I think, at least once.
You can tell he's still feeling effects of the result today. And since 2017, right here with me doing the NYCFC
and it's been fun every season. It really has. And no more fun than here. This really is a wonderful surrounding. We said it. Yeah. And with all due respect to NYCFC, this would be magnificent. Imagine this in Queens. Imagine this in the Bronx. It's a fantastic stadium. What is it, 19,500, I think, capacity, but with the ability to have a few more standing as well. So I think it takes up to about 20,500, 21,000. And it's supposed to be a sellout today, so it should be a wonderful game here. Because Minnesota aren't playing that well either. That's the thing. Well, that's the good thing for NYCFC.
Yeah, they come in, they're in the 9th position in the West with a 5-3 record. And meanwhile, New York City, they just keep climbing the standings there. Points per game, they're number 1 in the East. They're a single point behind Philadelphia, sitting in 2nd place. And the overall mark for New York City, 7-3-2. But it's that 7-game unbeaten run. And it's really been a remarkable stretch. But before we get to that, there was the U.S. Open Cup game on Wednesday. And New York City advanced, and that's part of this 10-match unbeaten run in all competitions. So now on to the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup to meet the New York Red Bulls. And that's going to be fun. June 22nd at Red Bull Arena. So New York City beats New England. They were the dominant team on the night, fielded a pretty strong lineup, but it was 3 reserves who came in. Tati Castellanos, Santi Rodriguez, and Eber, who combined on the goal. And here it is, Matty, and let's talk our way through it. And look, it starts with Castellanos stripping Andrew Farrell.
Well, absolutely. Everything stems from Valentin Castellanos, that's for certain, when he's on the field. And to be able to bring on players of that ability is quite frightening. And of course, we know in the US Open Cup, you normally play your second string players, but it's great to have the first teamers on the bench. And look, Castellanos it's a great laying into Eber. Eber again, just one touch and lays it sideways to Santi Rodriguez. And the quick feet, Glenn, we talked about it. The quick feet of Santi Rodriguez here, he's got 2 players around him, and it's just effortless the way he just glides past them and finishes really, really well. So, yeah, we know that's the ability all 3 of those players have got, and hopefully we see that again tonight. I know all 3 of them won't be on the field, I'm sure. At the same time, probably not. If Eber plays, then Castellanos will be on the bench and vice versa. But, yeah, look, NYCFC are in a rich vein of form, and you have to be expectant of a good performance and a good result. 7 games unbeaten, as you say, in MLS so far, and 6 clean sheets in those 7 games.
It's been a remarkable run for New York City FC, and the form is good, the depth is good, they're producing. The clean sheets have been really interesting in that over the last 3 shutouts in MLS play, there's only been 1 shot on frame from any of the 3 opponents. That would be Chicago, DC United, and Columbus. San Jose shut out before that 3-0. So Sporting KC's in that mix as well. Yes. So it's they've really limited the opportunities, which has been fantastic. But before we get into the MLS side of things, we're going to stay with the U.S. Open Cup. I wanted to play this because I'm not suggesting that my call for a fire truck and watering the field at Belson Stadium, St. John's University, was the result of what happened. But the field was watered, and I discussed this with Ronnie Dyler. This will be part of the pregame show on our commentary on the New York City FC Network, which kicks off at 7:45 p.m. on the NYCFC Network, nycfc.com/radio. And now available on the New York City FC app. Here's Coach It was at St. John's University, Belson Stadium, and we had talked about this earlier, the importance of watering the field, and this is what we saw before the game. The field getting watered thoroughly all over the place, and so I'm sure that that was satisfying for you. But for those who are maybe don't coach or play the game, what is the importance of watering the pitch, and in particular this artificial turf?
It's about the speed of the game, of course. It's much more fun to see a game that is going quick instead of bouncing around all over the place, and it's impossible to control the ball in the same way. That's one thing, but the most important is the friction in the artificial. If it's dry, you have much more bigger chance to get injured and twist your knee or your ankle or something, and then big injuries can happen. You saw one of the players in Rochester took everything in his knee So, we are worried when you are in these kind of places. And I think we talk a lot about the product in the MLS, that they want to take everything if they kick the ball away and to make it quick and more happening on the pitch. It's very good, but I think you start in the wrong direction. And start with the pitches and do them, everybody has to water very close up to the kickoff, because the games are totally different. People want to see fast attacking football, and that's what you get when you are good at. Look at it in Europe. You don't get a pitch there that is not water. You come to England, they are shortcut, and they are watered and they are quick. That's very difficult to control the ball in these kind of things. But for me, that's an important thing. It's also an important thing for the quality of the league, I think, to find it very interesting to watch.
Have you encountered that on the road? Maybe teams know how you want to play, and therefore they come out with a drier pitch. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, or a longer grass,
Yeah.
They don't cut the grass. I've seen that many times all over the world. So, of course, but that's okay. But again, we have a lot of demands in this league, but it's very strange there's no demands on these things. And then the answer back will be, we play in the Yankee Stadium, it's not big enough, and all these different things, yeah. That's maybe something we can't do anything with, but we can do something with cutting the grass and watering the pitch. That should be very, very easy.
So some interesting comment from the coach there, but you're a player, and watered pitch versus dry pitch, long grass versus short. I mean, you know that teams are going to play that game if it's going to give them the advantage.
Yeah, it's called home field advantage, and it's an advantage for a reason, because you're allowed to do whatever you want to the pitch within reasons. It has to be within a certain size. But of course, whenever I was in a side that played against a better footballing side, you made sure you didn't water the pitch. You made sure you you grew the grass, and you also didn't even bother rolling the pitch for the week before. You let it be bumpy, grown grass, and non-watered, of course, because you want to give yourselves every advantage to win the game.
But Ronnie's point is, it shouldn't be that way. You should make it more uniform, because that's better for the game. It's better for the league. It's better for the quality of play.
Well, yeah, it's for him, because he has a side that's one of the best in MLS and likes to play good football. If he was managing Burnley, he would be saying we've got to leave the grass long and let's not water it.
I should have challenged him a little bit more on that one, Ronnie Dyla. Okay, so Santi Rodriguez scores the game winner on Wednesday night. New York City's on to the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup against the New York Red Bulls. So they'll meet in a Hudson River Derby match before regular season, which they don't play until July. So it's June 22nd. It's a Wednesday. I forget what time, but we'll have time to promote it. And so that's that. So on the MLS, Matty, let's go to MLS. So we've got New York City here playing Minnesota. It's only the third time they've ever played. And the last time, it was the first game ever in this new building, Allianz Field, April 13th, 2019. A 3-3 draw. 5 of the 6 goals were scored in the first half, including this one. Sean Johnson, one of the forgettable moments. And I wanted to show you this and then see where things have progressed for Sean along the way. Because, by the way, after you see this goal, New York City, he had a good season. They won the Eastern Conference regular season title under Dome Tehran. But at this stage of the season, things were a little shaky.
15 jersey.
Oh, no! Oh, Sean Johnson. Just a crazy moment. And players run towards him to comfort him, because that is just a horrendous occurrence for a goalkeeper. There is just no accounting for that.
And since Sean Johnson has come to New York City, Patrick Vieira started it. It was all about improving his feet, and he has done so much so that he's back into the U.S. men's national team picture.
Well, look, every goalkeeper comes up with a moment, and that was Sean Johnson's moment. But interesting, that's Taylor Twellman, John Champion on the commentary for ESPN. And Taylor Twellman saying at that moment he had been called in to the U.S. men's national team by Greg Berhalter. Well, just this week, Zach Steffen, for family reasons, had to withdraw from camp, and Sean Johnson has now been added to the June window. And so things happen, as I suggested to Ronnie Dyla in our one-on-one, which you'll hear a little later.
Absolutely. Yes, you get upset that you're not in the original squad, but as you say, anything can happen in terms of COVID protocols, players getting injured. We know that family is the most important thing. Forget sport, family is the most important thing, and their health and your own health. So,
well, we certainly hope everything's
Zach,
going on with
exactly.
Stafford.
We hope that everything is fine with Zach Steffen himself personally and also with his family. We know he would pull out for a serious reason. We just hope he's okay. But look, every time something bad happens to somebody else, whether it's an injury or suspension, something good happens to somebody else. And Sean Johnson now has to take that opportunity with both hands. And whether he plays in the friendlies themselves or whether he just has to perform well in training, he's there and he's fully on show in front of Greg Berhalter for the whole of the camp. So it's great for Sean Johnson.
That it is. And ironically, we had just spoken to Tony Meola about that last week when Chicago came to New York City Field to play. And Meola is the broadcaster for Chicago on the TV side, but he's also a National Hall of Famer as a goalkeeper for the U.S. men and professionally. Fantastic stuff, obviously, winning Goalkeeper of the Year in 2000 for Kansas City when they won MLS Cup. But the topic was Sean Johnson with Matty and I and Tony Meola.
If I were Sean Johnson, I would envision myself as one of the 3 goalkeepers getting on a flight to go to Qatar and doing everything that I can to be one of those guys, because the assumption is that 2 guys in Zach Steffen and Matt Turner are going to Qatar, assuming we don't have any injuries, right? So I can understand him being upset. And if he was mad, what's wrong with being mad? Now that for all of these guys, Glenn, is how does it fuel you, right? How does it fuel you? I didn't make the 1998 roster, and I thought I should have been part of the 1998 group. It fueled me to a point that 4 years later, which was actually 8 years after the last World Cup I was in, I went to a World Cup again, which is pretty unusual when you think about it. You miss one, not to injury, and then go to another one. So it's a matter of what you do from here. You're not going to camp, but keep yourself ready, keep playing well. It's a position that's really unsteady right now. We're kind of juggling balls right now in the goalkeeping position. And I know for most people between 2, but Qatar is a long ways away right now. So, yeah, of course, you're upset, but you got to move on and you got to play well.
So that's when the original roster had come out just before we had Tony on, and Johnson wasn't on it. So it's interesting. He said, well, you just got to keep yourself ready because you never know what's going to happen.
Well, exactly. You keep yourself fit. You keep playing well for your club team, and who knows? And I don't want to say he's lucky because it's to his own dedication. He's had 6 clean sheets in the last 7 games, 5 on the trot, 450 minutes without conceding a goal going into today. So he deserves to be in the squad, really. Right. It's just unfortunate not to be in it last time because Greg Berhalter wants to take a look at 3 others. He's in it now, and it's his chance to keep the shirt, per se.
The morning of Thursday is when I guess it was Friday morning. Forgive me. Friday morning is when Sean Johnson and the team found out that he would be added to the squad in place of Zach Steffen. And then about an hour later, I talked to Ronnie Dyla about it. I think this is just an example of, even though Sean was disappointed not getting in, you just never know, do you?
No, that's true, But I'm sure Sean have more ambition than just be in the squad. He wants to play. And, of course, that's something I think he can push for if he keep on performing in the league. He can't do so much more than they have done for us now the last weeks. So hopefully he can not only be there, but come in and play as well.
If you were in a position of national team coach, and it certainly seems like Greg Berhalter, the U.S. men's national team coach, works in this manner, he really looks closely at form. He's watching the players play. You don't get the impression that everyone does that, but that's encouraging, isn't it?
That's very good. That's important in the national team that the players who plays in the clubs. That's important. And then, of course, the performance has to be important for who you select. So I'm happy that I'm into it, and hopefully can get some minutes as well to play.
Yeah, so it's important that the players who are playing are the ones that are selected if they're in good form. So interesting for the New York City coach.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree that the players have to be playing regularly for their club teams. But I think what you're going to see specifically with the US men's national team goalkeepers Zach Steffen at Man City and Matt Turner when he goes to Arsenal, they're both going to be sitting on the bench leading up to the World Cup. So do either of those two guys go out on loan? I don't think there's any way in the world they're going to be number one choices for Arsenal. Turner obviously behind Ramsdale, Zach Steffen behind Ederson, and even if Aaron Ramsdale got injured, I think they're bringing another big-time goalkeeper at Arsenal and Manchester City the same as well. So I think it's going to be intriguing in that goalkeeper battle leading into the Qatar World Cup, which we know is November and December of this year.
And then leading into this June window, this is the last match before the international break.
Yep.
New England is playing host to Philadelphia, a game that starts a half hour after our match here at the Allianz Field. And Matt Turner will likely be in goal for that. And you've got Sean Johnson in goal for New York City FC against Minnesota on the road, which could be a trying match. It could be one where he has a lot more action than he has in the previous 3 or 4.
And I don't think he'll mind that. I think the last few games, as you've mentioned, he's hardly had a shot to save. It's great for the team. It's great keeping clean sheets. But I think as any player, you want to be involved a little bit as well. I'd love to know the mindset of a goalkeeper. Are you quite happy not to touch the ball for 7 games on the trot? Maybe you are if you keep on winning. I guess that has to be your mindset. I don't mind what I do as long as we win our games of football. But he has to be able to show what he's capable of as well. And he's hardly touched the ball. He's hardly touched the ball with his feet, let alone his hands.
No, every now and then they'll play the ball back to him to reload. But, so Sean Johnson. So if he's really – what I wanted to – my point was if he's really sharp today and Matt Turner has a howler or two against Philadelphia, let's just say, going into the window, like who's in better form? As far as these June matches, you've got a match next Wednesday against Morocco, a friendly.
And I don't think it just comes down to today either. I think it's the previous few games, and I think Sean Johnson is undoubtedly in better form, statistically speaking. And if you look at the performances of Matt Turner as well, we know he's only just coming back from injury. I think undoubtedly Sean Johnson is maybe not the better goalkeeper now, but certainly he's the goalkeeper in better form. But you also have to wonder why the likes of Horvath and Steffen were called in as well, because they certainly weren't in good form because they haven't been playing.
No, so Ethan Horvath is the third keeper now with Sean Johnson and Matt Turner. So that's what is happening on the U.S. men's national team front. And here it's New York City FC trying to extend the 7-game unbeaten streak against Minnesota. They are the Loons. And I'm sure, Matty, you would love for the question, what is a loon, to be answered. Okay, so
please, can you?
The loon is the Minnesota state bird. Didn't know that? I probably was told that at some point. I just didn't remember. They resemble a duck or a goose, but in addition to flying, they swim and dive underwater to swim. But this is cool. They can't really walk on land because their webbed feet are so far back in their body, they would just they would just fall over. But this is, I think that it's appropriate to follow this up as we are informed about the loon to hear what one sounds like. So listen to this. All right, so that's the loon. Now, I thought this was cute. Years ago, I believe the first year of the franchise, 2017, the Minnesota United players were, well, I'll just run it. It just runs 60 seconds. It's kind of cute.
How to make that sound? Or something like that. That was sounding like a wolf.
Okay.
I'm embarrassed for them.
So interestingly, only Dunladi and Coleman are left on the team from that group. Christian Ramirez, who's now scoring boatloads of goals in Scotland, they could probably use him because they pretty much lack. Well, they've got Lude, and we'll talk about him throughout the broadcast. Robin Lude up top as a striker, has got 6 goals, but the goal scoring has been a difficulty to be sure. Now, I've got a challenge in, Matty. Okay?
Go.
So loons, we had the players, very cute, practicing the loon. I have the challenge in now, the New York City FC. So I'm just going to, here is, these are pigeon sounds. Let's see if we can hear these. Yeah, there they are. So I would love for New York City FC players, I'd really like to do the best in the New York City FC pigeons. I think we've accepted that. And that's how it sounds. If you didn't already know. So that's my challenge into New York City FC, and a lot of soccer stuff on this NYCFC pregame
on this nature program.
But we do have a referee in the middle today. His name is Michael Radchik, and it's interesting. It's just his 5th game in the middle, and his very first game as an MLS referee. All his previous 4 were last year, but his very first game, July 3rd, 2021, here at Allianz Field. And now he's back. This is his 2nd game with Minnesota United. No, actually, it'll be his 3rd. So 3 out of his 5 will be involved with Minnesota United. That was a 2-2 draw last year here. He did call a penalty in his very first MLS game, and Ramon Avila converted the penalty. Actually, he got it saved, and then he hit in the rebound. The disastrous signing of Ramon Avila, who after about 3 weeks came into a practice one morning and wasn't in great shape.
Slightly worse for wear.
Slightly worse for wear, and that's who they had obtained, a guy with a reputation. But nonetheless, Avila then went to DC United. It didn't work there, and he's overseas somewhere now. I think it's on the German side.
I actually I can't remember who he's playing for, but I did do the commentary for him. And yes, he's equally worse for wear and slightly larger than he was even when he was at Minnesota United. I will look it up.
All right. Well, let's show the lineups before we depart. First for New York City FC in their normal 4-2-3-1 shape. Sean Johnson. Nico Acevedo will play fullback on the right. Martins, Collins, Gloucester in place of Amundsen, who played in the U.S. Open Cup match, as did Tavon Gray. Parks and Morales in the midfield. And then the normal crew of Magno, Rodriguez flanking Maxi Morales and Tati Castellanos back in the lineup. He missed the Chicago game, suspended, yellow card suspension, and came in at the hour mark. U.S. Open Cup, good thing. Caused a turnover on Andrew Farrell, then got an assist on the Rodriguez goal, but he's back to the 11 here today. And so it's a good group. I don't think really any surprises. Nico Acevedo is sort of that surprise, being maybe not the first choice right back. Probably Tavon Gray is. He's still working his way back.
Gray's the first choice, but Tavon Gray started in midweek. The same as Amundsen started in midweek, because you told me to look that up, and they both started in midweek, so it's no surprise they're not starting today. But it wouldn't surprise me if either of them came on at half time or 60 minutes, independent on what's going on in the game. And Ramon Avila plays for Colón in the Argentine League. I knew that is who I had where I'd seen him.
Thanks for that research, Matty Lawrence. That Matty Lawrence, remember, the post-millennial favored right back in Millwall history. There was an official poll done this week, and congratulations, Matty. Seriously, it's really cool.
My dad voted a load of times.
Well, he's the guy. I'm Glenn Crooks, and we've got your commentary, live commentary. We have fun with it. We'll be descriptive. And now with this new improved New York City FC app, we are on the New York City FC network. Live commentary, radio, digital, whatever you want to call it, is on the app. All you got to do is open up the app a little bit before game time. We have Ronnie Dyla on the pregame show at 7:45 Eastern. And then
just click on it and listen. If you're at the game, listen. If you can't be watching it at home, listen to it, man. It's there. All right, that's it. That's all I got time for. We got to get ready for the next stage of our broadcast here. So again, 7:45. We look forward to speaking to you again soon. Enjoy the game, everybody.